Welcome everyone, my name is Kat Halliday. I am your academic support librarian. We do this every month. We highlight a new resource, and this month it is GALE Business Insights. We have Carolyn from GALE to talk us through the platform. I'm going to pop the link in the chat to the particular resource. As I requested before, please leave your microphones off so that either myself or Carolyn can speak. If you've got any queries or questions, then you can pop them in the chat and I will answer them. So I'm going to hand over to Carolyn and she's going to demonstrate the platform. So take it away.
Thank you, Kat, as she lets one more person in the room. Hi, everyone. As Kat said, my name is Carolyn. I'm with GALE. And thank you to Kat for organizing this session. It's really important to know what resources you have available, what resources the library has invested in for you. And I'm here to show you one particular database today. As Kat said, as we go through, if you have questions, please do ask. Your questions will help others. So pop them in the chat. Let us address your question as they come up. So as you think about it, just ask the question at the time and we'll stop and deal with it. And Kat will allow me to pause and I'll go through and address your questions. So this is GALE Business Insights. You can see it's a comprehensive business database. As I scroll down, you can see the platform. This is a different database. If you are familiar with what was there before, this is completely different. It's been updated. It's been revamped. It's been given a new facelift. So I'm going to take you through this and show you the resources and what's available. The first thing I want to highlight is here across the toolbar. You have a few resources across here that I want to highlight for you. They are quick sort of buttons that allow you to get right into concepts that I'll talk about. The first one is a comparison where you can compare companies, industries, and also countries. Browse allows you to browse what's available, and you can see you can browse specific companies, industries, but you can also browse topics, financial reports, investment reports. And my particular favorite is a glossary. You will undoubtedly come across things in your studies that you're not familiar with. This allows you to get a glossary of those terms. Search history. If you have been on the database for an hour and you're searching concepts, you're searching things, you might want to remember, you might want to go back to something. So you might want to go back to where you are. And I've lost where I am. There we go. So the search history will take you back to something you've been looking at for the past hour. As long as you haven't closed your browser, you can go back to it. Sometimes you've looked at a search, you've refined it, you have edited it, and you can't remember what it was. That will allow you to go back to it. So that's your search history. Here you have just a quick link. So this is a way for you to send the link to yourself in order to remember it. This is really more for academics and your librarian to share it. I'll show you a better way to use that feature. And then notes and highlights is a really good feature that allows you to take notes as you are using the database. And it's really a good way for you to remember what you're doing and to write down things just as you would in a classroom. Okay, so couple of ways that you can use the database. Here you will have most search companies. This is going to change. This is based on what other people across the world who are using the database are looking at. And this is going to be changing based on the usage. So most search companies, you can click on any one of these. It gets you right into company profile and company information. If I scroll down, you have most used publications. So again, this gives you an insight into what other people are looking at, but it also might give you insight into databases and publications you're not familiar with. You notice The Economist is here. You notice the Financial Times are here because those are included in the database. Full HTML version of those are included in this database. You don't have to pay for those. We scroll down, you can see most used topics. So these are things that are trending, essentially. Again, it gives you an idea of what other people are looking at. And you have most searched industries. as well as countries and regions. All of that will change. It's all depending on how people are using the database. So it will change. I want to start with this. Most search companies, this has been in the news quite a bit. So I'm not surprised that it's one of the most searched companies. So I'm going to click on that. And immediately you see I get a company profile. I have a website, I have social media links, but I get business information. How many employees are in this company? How much revenue? Hierarchy. I'm going to click on this in a minute and give you some really insightful information that you might not be aware of that you can find here. But you have NASDAQ information, locational information, lots of good information here. If I scroll down, I have a company overview. This is taken from company histories. It gives you full in-depth information about this organization. And as a matter of fact, if I click on that, you can see I have full article, full details about this company, everything you've ever wanted to know about this organization. Now, this is what I call the article level. And so you can see here, this is coming from Directory of Company Histories. You can see publication information, and you can see sort of document information. But as we go down, there are a few other helpful tools, and this is in all of our databases. The first one I want to highlight for you is a translation feature. There are over 40 languages here. If you speak a different language, or if your brain functions in a language that you want to read in, you have the ability to translate that into a language that works for you. So this is just really helpful to help you manage how you see information. This is just a really interesting, helpful, excuse me, helpful tool that will allow us to increase and decrease the font size. But this one we've recently added. It's a tool to help you read it in a better way, depending on your capabilities. So it's sort of sometimes our text and the way we publish, it doesn't support everyone. The way things look on the screen doesn't support everyone. This is how you can manipulate that. So this is just a tool to help you make the most of the article. With 3,200 words, you might not be happy with how it looks on the page. This will help you with that, especially if English isn't your first language. Really do play with this because it opens up the article. It allows you to look at it in a way that's helpful for you. This one is an MP3, but it also allows it to read aloud to you. And I'm not sure you're picking that up because I'm using a headset, but it's actually reading that as it goes across the screen for me. So I can listen to the article. I don't have to read it myself. If you are a very busy student and you want to cycle or walk to school, or you're washing the dishes and you want to listen to the article, that is a really good time management option. You also have the ability to download that as an MP3. You might want to listen to it later in the car, put it on a flash drive and listen to it in the car or elsewhere. So there's tools and features there that will help you manage how you absorb this article. If I move over here, I have Google and Microsoft. So if I click on that, if I have an Outlook account, a Microsoft account, or Google, this is where I can download that article and send it to myself. Here, if you don't have that or you want to share it with somebody, this is where you share that information with somebody. So you just put in an email address and you send it to yourself or to somebody else, okay? Here you have download, but you never need to download it. The university has the database, so just come back to it. No need to take up room on your hard drive. Just come back to it when you need it. And then, of course, you can also print. I'm going to highlight these tools here. And the way I'm going to do that, if I scroll down, you see this toolbar stays. And that is a suggestion from some of our readers because they, with a long article like this, they were having to scroll up and down. And they said they wanted to be able to really have access to the toolbar as they were reading. So we kept this in place. Here you see you have your citation options. There are 4 main citation options, but you also have others here you can export. You will need to cite where you're getting the content. this is a great place to be able to do that. Just click on the citation that you want, and the system will create that for you. Again, options to send with Google, Microsoft, or email, options to download, print, and then you've got, this is a bookmark, and then I want to talk to you about highlights and notes. Notice now it says highlights and notes 0, because as I'm reading, I haven't done anything yet. But now I want to engage with this article. So I want to highlight this, and I'm going to click on that. And maybe the different colors are for different reasons. Maybe a color as the researcher is for a question to my teacher. Maybe another color is for something I want to research later. But this section here puzzles me. So I want to put a little note in here to myself. And then as I continue to read, there are a few words that you might come across that you're not familiar with. So here, this particular word should have a definition button here, so I'll find out why that's not there. But we've tried to build in things that will help you. So again, you can make notes. And just save it. This is similar to what you would do if you were reading something and you wanted to write something down. Now you notice highlights and notes 6. If I click on that, view all highlights and notes. Now I have all of my notes and highlight, but most importantly, I have my bibliography. Now, here's my notes. I can edit that because I saw that I spelled that incorrectly. I can add more notes. So I can engage with my notes. I can also, up here, I can tell the system how I want to label that. I can say to the system, how do I want to label the colors? What do I want to do with that? And you can see here, I have the link back to my article. So what do I do with these notes? Now when I want to download, if I click on that, I get a full, clean PDF file with my notes, my highlights, and again, most importantly, my bibliography. And this link will always take me back to my document. So as a student, as you read and research an article, just use the highlight and notes, and it will allow you to be able to take notes, get the bibliography, but also get a link back to your document. And if I continue to look at articles, the system will compile my set of highlights and notes and create a bibliography separated by articles. So I will always have that. Okay. So that's taking it from the company overview. It opens out a full company profile and helps me understand what this company is all about and what they do. You've got full SWOT analysis. So those of you who are interested in financial information and you need to build that, here you have full SWOT analysis. So maybe you need to know how to create one of these. This gives you that. And you notice this page looks exactly the same as the article because they all look very similar. But here you have full SWOT data on the company, full analysis on how they're performing, their strengths, their opportunities, their weaknesses. And you can absolutely download that. Here you have print, here you have the download capabilities. So you can engage with this, you can put it on to screen, you can take notes on this, you can engage with this. I'll come back to the other options here. So you've got financial reports, and here I have all of my financial data. I've got balance sheets, income statements, I have cash flow statements. This is great if you just need to know, how should I create one of these? What does this look like? How do I use this? How do I build one of these? you have that information here comprehensively: cash flow, balance sheet, ratios, investment reports, and SEC filings will take you to the SEC website. But this is a great way for you to, again, get business data, look at what a performance of an organization looks like, but also just how do I create one of these? And you can see, you can compare companies and you can download content. If I scroll down further, I have competition information. So I've got this nice chart in the middle of the screen that just gives me financial information. This is performance over time. And you might be asking, can I download this? Absolutely, you can download this. Just click on the menu and you can see I can download as an image, as a PDF. I can also print. So you definitely can download this. And this is just going to give you comprehensive performance of the organization that you're looking at. Scrolling down further, I have competitor information. So if you're not familiar with Tesla and you don't know it's an automotive manufacturer, you might not know who their competitors are. This will tell you that. This is also going to tell you what industry, what business industry are they in? And you can also look at the industry as a whole. How is this industry doing? I'll go down further. I have articles about the company. So I have market share, I have case studies if they're available, I have academic journals, videos, I have all sorts of information here. If you're writing an article or a research paper about this company, you have everything you need here in order to research this organization. And I'll just scroll down so you can see all of the data that's here on this company. There's one I want to highlight for you, and it's this video. So this person you might not be familiar with, everything you need is here. This is a video that you can use. You can see it's only 3 minutes. I'll try to play it, but it won't come across because, again, I'm using a headset, so I'm not sure. But you can see captions are engaged, so you can read it. But it does. There we go. It's coming through on my speaker. I don't know if it's coming through for you.
We can't hear it, but we can see the
Okay.
the text.
Okay. I won't take my speaker out, my headset out, because the last time it just completely messed it up. So you can see it's only 3 minutes and you can absolutely download that. You just, again, go there and you can download that as an MP3 if you want to have that. But this, again, it's a good video you can watch. You'll notice it's very clear. There are no commercials. There's no adverts that will pop up. Oh, oh. I come out of that. Maybe that'll do it. Right. So there are no adverts in any of the videos. You are more than welcome to download the videos. You can use the videos. All we ask is that you cite the video. So just ensure, again, you go up here and you click on cite information and you have the ability to use that video and you can download the video. So you're not barred from using any of the content. Feel free to use, put that in a research paper, just use citation. Just use good citation habits, okay? Here you can see lots of trade journal articles, market research reports, everything you want. If you're looking for just academic journals, you've got 31 academic journals and you can sort. If I sort by full text, just to make sure, I've gone just down to 26, which isn't bad. And you can sort by date, you can sort by the type of document, you can search for something specific. So if you're looking for something specific within this list of 26, you can search for something specific. So there's flexibility in terms of how you use the database. And I want to just click on one of these. And well, actually, let's try Great Britain. I don't know if there's anything in here. So I've just said to the system, in these articles, I want to add another word and I want to limit my search, and it's done that for me. So if I click on that, this article is related to Tesla, but it'll probably have Great Britain somewhere in here if I scroll down far enough. So, but what I want to show you with this, I won't go into all the tools again. I want to do some more notes and highlights just so you can see how the system groups your notes and highlights together. So remember, we have notes and highlights included in here before. And there you can see, it should do that. Let's just have a look. If I do download, let's just have a quick look if it's going to compile that. Because ideally what the system should do, and I see it's not doing that, so I'll have a check on that. It should group it together. The idea when you search through the databases, it should group your notes and highlights together so you get one page of everything together as long as you're within the same browser session. So I'll check and make sure that's still working. You can see here with this report, I can also view it as a PDF. So if you do, and of course my PDF isn't working today, if you do want to view it that way, you have the ability to be able to look at it in different formats. All right, let's go back. And if I change my mind on the Great Britain, I don't have to start my search again. You can see here, I can just remove that filter and it opens up the search capabilities again. All right, you can see I've got almost 40,000 news articles because he's in the news quite a bit recently. You can see all the numbers that are listed here. So there's quite a lot of business information included if you're trying to do a research paper. All right, so I'm going to go back into this because I want to highlight this for you. This is something that is a jewel that most people don't realize. So Tesla will have other companies. We will be familiar with these because it has the name, but I want to highlight this one for you that you may have never heard of. It's a tech company that Tesla owns. And I found it just from looking at Tesla subsidiaries. And here you can see it tells me about the company. It's a much smaller company, but it tells me their parent company is Tesla. It tells me where it's located, and it gives me business and financial information about the company. It tells me who their competitors are. So you may have never heard of that company. There are a few articles printed relating to that company, but this allows you to have a look at that information. So this is how the database can be really helpful because it will move you to hidden, really good information that you're not familiar with. Here you can see who's in charge. Some of these companies, there will be a full list of details. Who's the HR? Who's the marketing manager? Who's in charge of recruiting? Some of these companies will give you a large group of individuals that you can reach out to if you're looking for research information or internship or anything. So that's something that you would take a long time to find on the open web. So use this information if you're doing research and if you're interested in looking at anything more in depth. I want to show you how some of the comparison tools work. So I'm going to be really lazy and just highlight this so I don't have to type it again. And I'm going to click on compare companies. And this takes me to a page that allows me to compare organizations. Now the system here is saying, what do you want to compare? Because I can compare companies, industries, or countries. So it wants me to tell it what I want to do. So I'm going to click on companies, and it's now saying, put the company in that you want to look at. And I'm going to click on Tesla. It allows you to do 3. So there it tells me I've reached my maximum. That's all it can compare. Now it's saying, how do you want to compare? Do you want to look at revenue? Do you want to look at employees? If I click on revenue, there I have a nice chart comparing Tesla, BMW, and Mercedes-Benz. Maybe I'm doing a research project on upcoming automobile manufacturers, or I just want to look at how these companies are doing against each other. This gives me a good way to view that. And again, you can download this chart, just cite that you're using it, but you can download this, you can print it, or you can send it to someone. And these will take me to company profile for that particular company. So another way that I can go into information about this company. This will take me to a full company profile on BMW, similar to what we saw on Tesla. I can look at employees. So if I just want to look at how they're doing in terms of how many employees they have, which one is bigger, I can do that. I can look at it in a different format. So I can tell the system, show me more of a table if that's how your brain works and you want to be able to look at revenue in a table, then you have it that way. That might be something better for you to download. So the comparison charts are really very helpful in helping you see something in a visual way. All right, I'm going to go back to this section. And again, I've got manufacturing information here. So if I want to browse this particular manufacturing, or if I want to click on additional options related to manufacturing, I can do that. There's sometimes, depending on the business report you're running or what information you're looking at, you might want to have a full industry report. And again, this is coming from the North America Industry Categorization System. So that's how this is categorized. That's the type of information that you see in here. So this is also a good option in terms of how do I get into a specific a specific industry type, and how do I have a look at how that industry is doing? This is how you would do that. Across here, you can see, again, I can look at companies, I can look at territories, and it links me to further financial reports. So that's one way to search, is just going to the most searched companies and start going through all of the details related to that. Here is another way. I spoke about the comparison tool before. If I click on that, it takes me to that chart that we looked at before. So we've looked at comparing companies. I want to compare countries. I want to see how certain countries are doing next to each other. So I'm going to put in, and again, you can search 3. I think we are listed as United Kingdom. So there we go. To Japan. So the system now is saying, what do you want to compare? What metrics? You can look at GDP, you can look at employment rate, you can look at per capita, you can look at population, which is always really interesting. So many different ways you can compare these countries across each other. You can also look at different ways to compare that. So this is also just a good way for you to look at how to compare business information across a territory or a particular country. Moving into this, oh, I put in United Arab Emirates. That's why that looked different. I wanted. Moving into the data, you can see now I have country profile. And I want to click on this because, again, there's so much good information here. Notice how it looks very similar to the outlook of Tesla. It's exactly the same layout, but the data is different. I'm now comparing a country or a territory. I've got the GDP, I've got the growth, population, and unemployment, all good business data, all really good business data. I've got top companies. So if you you want to think about business in Japan or working in Japan and you don't know what top companies are, or Mexico and you don't know what the top companies are in that country, this will give you the list based on revenue. This is the top performing country or company within the UK. And this will take you to a link that will allow you to look at that company overview. Here, I have information coming from our market reports. How is this territory doing? What are the conditions? And you can see this is 2023, so relatively updated. Government is all of this related to finances, and that's why that is listed there. I've got intelligence overview. So what do the economists say about this company or about this country? What are their predictions? What information are they going to give me? I'm desperate to get my PDF to work, but it doesn't seem to want to do that for me. And then I've got an industry report that will list what are the top performers, what are the research in terms of this country and their industry. So you've got lots of information in here. You can see I've got company history, SWOT analysis, I've got a chronology report, all really good data here, just based on the country. If I scroll further down, this gives me a comparison of countries similar and how they're performing. And again, you can absolutely download this. Any of the charts and graphs within the database are able to be downloaded. But this just gives you a really good assessment of how is this country doing compared to others that are similar in terms of population, in terms of GDP or growth. And then as I scroll down, these are now articles about the country. So anything published related to the United Kingdom is what I'm getting here. I'm getting videos, I'm getting academic journals, I'm getting case studies about the United Kingdom, about the country as a whole. So if you're wanting to get business information about the country, but no specific business, this is where you would come. If you want to know about unemployment in the country and what people think, if you want to know about data protection and what they're doing in this country, that's where you would find this information. Is look at the country and then look at company or country overview, country profile, country industry reports. Okay, and all of this again is from just here where I've done compare. The other thing you can compare is an industry. So perhaps you are considering a few different industries where you want to study and you want to know how are those industries doing in terms of employment. So let's do, I don't know, the beverage industry surely should be. So I've got drinking places, alcoholic beverages. What about food? To food manufacturing. So ideally, you probably want to compare similar, and I'm probably not doing a good job of that at the moment, but you will know better what industries you want to look at. But there you have a overview of how an alcoholic beverage and a food store manufacturer, how are these doing in terms of number of companies within these industries. That gives you a good sense of that and revenue. And then you can also look at employment within the industry. Now, when I go into the profile, this is going to be a profile of the alcoholic beverage industry. And if I click on that, I get an overview of this industry. Who are the movers and shakers in this industry? We've heard of JD Witherspoon's, we've heard of some of these, but this gives you a performance in who are the top manufacturers, what are the top companies by revenue within this industry. The other thing I want you to notice, this is globally. So you can see here, China, Turkey. If I scroll down, you get a better look. USA, Japan. Or I can say, well, just show me the ones in the UK. Or if you're not in the UK, that's okay. Just show me the top ones in Japan. So you can see how this will allow me to search globally, but also nationally. I've got emerging industry reports. So if you're considering doing a case study on these industry reports, here are some really good details that you can use. How's the craft beer industry doing? That's just a snapshot, but raw juice bars are coming up. Those are very popular. How's that industry doing? Here's a recent 2022 report, and this gives me a snapshot of this industry. I've seen these pop up at hotels, at airports, all across the place. So this might be something you want to consider. How is this industry doing? I'm a vegetarian, so steakhouse restaurants are not of interest to me, but here's a snapshot of how this particular industry is doing. So that's how you can get into so much good data using the system. You've got global industry report on how this industry is doing, but you also have some of our specialized Plunkett report data and also industry report data on this industry. If I scroll down again, I'm getting articles about companies within this industry. So Whitbread is one of the manufacturers within the beverage industry. You've got other manufacturers, you've got other companies, but you also have market share reports, you have trading journals, academic articles. This is all industry related. Okay, we've even got a few case studies included. We're trying to add more case studies. There looks like there are only 5 in here and only a few are full text, but we are adding a few more case studies to the system. And as this is a revamped system and we're still building it out and adding more content to that. So that should add more to it. So that is a way that you compare. And again, as you click on compare, it gives you the option right away to go right into comparison. Browse is another good feature. And here I can browse companies. I just click on that. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I just want to browse by location. I see New Zealand here. So I just want to click on that. And I just want to say, show me the companies in New Zealand. I don't know what companies there are. I'm sure you guys are probably more informed about what companies as a business student, but maybe I just want to look at all the companies within this region. Maybe I want to look at them by specific revenue. That is where I would do that. The same thing I can do with industry. I can do that with countries and territories. So there's so many different ways I can go into this particular database and get information. Here you can see a listing of industries and countries based on GDP and population. So if you are looking for a good way to compare particular countries, this is also a good way. You will notice these are only 122. I think there's over 200 countries in the world. These are going to be sort of classified in a certain level. Countries where there's instability or there's a coup, they're not going to be listed here because their economy is just too unstable. So there are certain companies and countries, pardon me, that are reflected here. So that will probably grow or decrease from time to time. You've got all your financial reporting here, all grouped together. We're changing that, and you've got investment reports, and you've also got topics and publications. But I want to draw your attention to the glossary. You will come across terms that you're not familiar with. There's nothing worse than sitting in a class, listening to something, and you missed a session and you have no idea what your lecturer is talking about. Just come to this database and put that in. 401k is a US pension plan. You may not be familiar with that, or you might not have heard that. It's a pension plan, but it's how the US categorizes their pension. If your professor is talking about debt, there's several different types of debt, and you can just come in, pop that information in, and the system will give you that. So you can get a quick, clear, accurate description. You could get this on Google, but what happens when you go to Google? 1, you get distracted. 2, ads might pop up. 3, you might get something that is audible and you're in a classroom and you don't want anybody to know you're doing something other than paying attention. This is not going to give you any of those distractions. And it's a quick glossary of business data. Terms can be used in different ways. So even, a term as simple as a debt, you might be able to use that in a non-business way. So when you come to the glossary, it's going to give you comprehensive business terms, just as it says here. So that's a good reason to just come to the glossary, have it open, and use it all the time. As I said, have it open. This is where I want to highlight the get link. This is a bookmark, and it's always going to take you to this page. It doesn't change. You can copy the bookmark, put it on your laptop, desktop if you want to always have access to it. And that way you always come back to this page. And again, I was able to find that if I select browse, the glossary is there. So I always have access to that. Now, I started with my search looking at most search companies, but there's another way I can do my search. Just as you would in any business database, you can put in a basic term and go from there. So think about the fact that you are searching a business database. You want to put in companies, you want to put in industry, you want to put in countries, you want to put in business information. You also don't want to put in sentences. What is the GDP of the United Kingdom? That is not going to yield you a lot. You want to think about this is a business database, and I want to give it specific words that are business related. I want to give it terms or countries or companies. That's how you want to do that. I'm going to try insolvency and see what it gets me. First one to spell that right. I think I've spelled that correctly. So I've got articles related to that. You can see there are companies that might be declared insolvent. I have research reports, I have trade articles, and here is my filtering tool. So maybe I want to think about insolvency in the United Kingdom. I'm not interested in what's happening in Indonesia, not right now. I want to look at insolvency within the United Kingdom, so I can narrow that down. And you can see my search filters, my numbers have significantly changed just based on that. If I change my mind, I can remove that. So I'm not wedded, I'm not stuck to any search. I can be very flexible with my search. I can change my mind. One thing I want to add is date, publication date. As a student, you always want to look at specific information. So I'm going to look at information within the last, let's go to from 2018. So what I'm saying to the system is show me insolvency within this date range. And if I hit apply, it's now going to give me that date range. And again, I can look at revenue. I meant to click this one. And let's go back to United Kingdom. So I'm saying to the system, what articles have been published related to insolvency within the United Kingdom 2018 to 2023? I can also say, well, I really just want to look at articles. I want to look at reports. Here, I want to click on articles. So there's so many different ways I can limit. And you notice here now, I have no videos, I have no images, I just have articles. And all of these articles will include content from this date range, United Kingdom, but also they will be articles. I can keep going and think about publication title. I can think about a specific industry. Maybe there is a specific industry that I'm interested in looking at in terms of insolvency. That might be an option. And there I have two because I selected market research and public opinion poll. I have two. So the system is very specific to your needs. And I can see insolvency in the headline. So I know also United Kingdom. So I know these are specific to my needs. That's how easy it is to do your search. If this is your research and you've done this work, do a get link, send this bookmark to yourself. Just highlight this and send this to yourself. That way you don't have to do this search again. I'm going to click on that. You can see my search term insolvency. Okay, this is a short article. Maybe I decide, you know what, I don't want to use this limiter. I'm going to remove that one because I want to look at a different industry. I just deselect that and I can go to a different industry and pick a different one. So I don't have to be stuck to one particular way of searching the system. I can be very flexible with this, with my search. I can go back and forth until I'm happy with my search. I never really have to start a search all over again. The only reason I click on the banner is to show you something different. But when you are in a search, you never have to delete and start again. You have to just remove a limiter and it will expand your search. If I remove article, it will open my search to videos. If I remove the date, it will open my search to more. And I can remove United Kingdom and it takes me right back to all of my content on insolvency. Okay? Now, one other thing I want to show you, just here, you have advanced search. So we've started with looking at companies. That's one way to get into it. We've started looking at a basic search. That's another way. Here, if you have a specific research interest, this is where you go. This is advanced search. This is where you put in all of your specific research terms and you allow the system to just do that once for you. So here it allows you to add up to 8 rows. I can keep adding, it will allow me to add 8. So I'm going to look at Fashion Week. I want the system to search everything. I want to look at Paris. And maybe, let's see, does it have Louis Vuitton? If I spell it correctly, I'll get it. I can keep adding a row, but that's sufficient for me for now. I want full text articles. I want articles, all dates, but I can be very specific. I can say, why don't you show me content from 1990 to 2020? I don't want to limit it too much. I can say after 1990. Let's go with that. I can say, I want articles, I want journals. I can be very specific about what I want. Okay. But here again, I can also look at document types. So this is where you put in all of your specifics of your research and allow the system to search. Now, I must confess, I've not done this before in terms of these terms, so I don't know what I'm going to get. That's not bad for one that I've never done before. I've gotten articles, reference, trade journals. I've even gotten videos. I imagine that's going to be Fashion Week. There we go. So yes, Paris Fashion Week. I have news articles. So this is where, again, if I go to all content type, if this is my research, I will select get link and I will send this link to myself. So the next time I don't have to do the search again. It didn't take long, but I don't want to have to do it again because I've done it before and I'm happy with it. I can even limit that. I can do more in terms of revenue or industry, but this is my research. This is what I'm interested in. And I can just save this search. I can add more content, maybe, limit it to further if I'm looking for a specific individual or I'm looking for a specific type of garment or a particular product, I can add that. But that's how I would do my search. I can remove the date and I would get even more content. So there's several ways that you can search the system. Start with looking at a company and go into that. Start with a basic search, or you can look at advanced search. There's several ways. You're not tied in to any part of the system. The last thing before we go to questions or close, search history. Remember I said to you, the system allows you to remember your search unless you close the browser. So we've performed quite a few different search, and you can see they're all here. I can go back to any one of them and the system will take me back into the content. And that's all from going to look at my search history. And this is helpful because if I've been on the system for an hour, I might have forgotten to save an article. I might have forgotten to look at a citation for something I looked at. This is where it allows me to go back to that. So that's what search history does for you, but it's only valid until I close my browser. The system doesn't hold on to this because I'm not signed in anywhere, so it doesn't hold on to this. If you do want to hold on to this, here I can sign in with Google or Microsoft. So you do have the option to do that. You cannot create an account on the system, but if you have a Google account or a Microsoft, sign in with that and the system will save your search history and it will save your downloads and everything you're doing. That, I believe, is everything I want to show you. Any one of these will take you into content. Any one of these will be links that go into information. Any one of these will be information that you can look at. So there's just many different ways that you can get into the system. So that's all we want to highlight for you there is show you what other people are looking at, show you what topics are being researched, and just show you what industries are being looked at. All right, I'm going to stop there. Are there any questions? I've given you quite a lot of information, and Kat has assured me that you can search Business Insights on the database, but she will also put a link to how you can get right to the database. She will put a link in the chat if she hasn't already done that. That way you will be able to have access to how you find that information.
I'm just popping the link in again for everybody, for those who
Okay.
joined after I put it in for a start. If you don't have questions now, but you use the platform and then have some follow-up questions, you can always reach myself through the normal channels, and we can answer those questions or queries. Thank you so much, Carolyn. That was so detailed. I'm not sure anyone would have any questions. It was
You're
brilliant.
very
Thank you
welcome.
so
You're
much.
very welcome.
Right, if nobody has any questions, then we'll leave it there. Thank you
Thank
very
you all
much for
very
your
much.
time.
Yes, thank you all for joining. Good luck with your research. And as Kat said, reach out to her if you have any questions at all. But good luck with your research, and happy learning.